The following programming is sponsored by Marc J. Bernstein. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group. Entrepreneur, founder, author, and financial advisor, Marc Bernstein helps high-performing business owners turn their visions into reality. At March Forward, Marc and his partners and associates think out of the box to partner with their clients in regards to their visions for their lives, their businesses, and their legacies. And through his innovative work with the Forward Focus Forums, Marc connects entrepreneurs to resources that help to fuel their success. Founders Forum is a radio show and podcast where entrepreneurs share their journeys, reveal the stories behind their successes, and the lessons they've learned. Join Marc and his guests for a mix of inspiration, valuable insights, and a bit of fun. Now let's dive in.
Good morning, Philadelphia. Good morning, America. Happy semi-quincentennial. I did that first try. It came out the right way. It's a beautiful day. It makes me feel like it's springtime again. It's a spring day. And I have Susan, or Sue, I'll be calling her both alternately probably, on the show. And I'll formally introduce who she is. She's got a very interesting background. And but before we do that, I'd just like to say she's had a very successful career as a woman going back quite a while in this town, in the communications business. And I've been thinking about this. We're actually doing two shows today. And the second show is always also with another kind of pioneering woman in Philadelphia. And I'm curious about your experience as a woman business leader early on in the city and what that was like for you, Sue.
Well, first of all, Marc, thank you so much for having me on. I have been a big fan and follower of yours, and I was lucky enough, as you know, to sit next to you at the Sattel Institute. I think it was their retreat.
Yes.
So we got to chat.
It was the semi-quincentennial.
Yes, but I've known about
conference.
You for a long time, and so
is that right? I didn't even know about that.
So thank you.
My pleasure.
As a woman, it's I don't really look at it that way, but I am aware of it that it might be a little bit tougher, but I don't care. Right. I think back to when you have a father who tells you could do anything, and you don't necessarily have to have a father who does that, who believes in you, that's kind of huge. And so it sets your mindset and allowed me actually to take more risks.
Were you other siblings? Did you have other siblings?
I do have three younger sisters who say I'm very pushy.
Oh, so all girls, though?
All girls.
And you're the oldest?
Yes. My father insisted on a male dog because he said he was outnumbered.
Gotcha. So he sent the message to all the girls, I imagine.
He did. And we're all very different. But there was definitely, it's interesting now that you asked that question, there definitely was an empowerment piece to it. And we knew he believed it. So that's what was so great about it.
Well, we're going to tell your entrepreneurial story in a minute, and I know your father and also your grandfather were actually influential in regard to that.
Yeah.
But before we do that, why don't I officially introduce you? Right. So Susan Jacobson is CEO of Praxtera AI Institute and CEO, what she's really known for around Philadelphia, although she's becoming known for Praxtera, is Jacobson Strategic Communications. And she delivers live 2-hour AI fluency training sessions on Zoom. This is the future. Co-led by Wharton-trained AI specialist and a senior communication strategist. The company recently won the National Platinum Pinnacle Award for AI training. Very impressive. She's a Wharton MBA recently, which is really cool, and former chair of the Chamber of Commerce for Greater Philadelphia, which is a big deal. And Sue is on a mission to make AI fluency accessible and practical for everyone, not just tech insiders. Admirable vision. I love that.
Thank you.
So let's start out with your entrepreneurial journey, as I promised, since this is a show about entrepreneurs and lots of people listen to it, including many entrepreneurs. And I think there's a lot of lessons here. But you started out not as an entrepreneur, although you're, I think, in the back of your mind, because of your father, your grandfather, you had an entrepreneurial instincts. Is that a fair way to put it?
It's a fair way to put it. My grandfather grandfather came here with his family. They got a cow and started a butcher shop. And basically turned it into a Fortune 500 company. So yes,
Pretty
perhaps
amazing.
the entrepreneurial part is in my blood. And he built it with, personality, grit. Like it was A&P, if anybody remembers the food stores
Sure.
that gave him his big break. And then he ended up doing trade with Australia through the Kennedy administration. Very charming, charismatic guy. And my dad built that business and then ran it. So it was very successful. So, yes, it was in my blood. I actually went into campaigns. I ran a presidential campaign. I was one of only 2 women at that time in Washington State. I won my state, but no one remembers or cares except for my husband and my father. But I was one of 10 states that won that presidential race by 2 points. And so there I kind of learned. And
Which race was that?
that was Dukakis Bush.
Oh, nice. Okay, gotcha.
And and so was very proud of that in Washington State, and then but learned a lot. So back to your entrepreneurial piece. Yes, it's in my blood, but I love building things from nothing, and as we talked about, like empowering others. That's like my favorite thing.
So you were working in the PR communications industry.
Not yet.
Oh,
No,
not yet.
No.
Not yet. Then okay.
Yeah,
So
not till I got to Philly. So I did campaigns. I was chief of staff to Katie Dukakis in the governor's office in Massachusetts.
wow. I bet.
Went out with my husband, who was a vascular surgeon. He's like, I got to do the best research in the country. That's in Washington State. I'm like, okay. And a lot of women do that. They, I
Sure.
adore my husband. So I was like, let's go. And Dukakis said, go run my campaign in Washington State. I'll surround you with people. I'll teach you. Go do it.
That's how you got to Washington.
And that's why I was one of 2 women at that point. I was 28.
Wow. And so what brought you to Philly? Because that's when things
My
changed.
husband. He,
His job also.
he basically became he was a vascular surgeon at Penn, was offered a job. I came here and I'm like, and I remember talking to my national campaign friends who said, no, coming to Philadelphia is a gift. You are going to learn so much about dealing with people and politics. And so I actually got very politically involved as well there. So again, I guess you could say that's entrepreneurial. And then David Cohen and Ed Rendell asked me to be deputy chief of staff. And there I really ran a lot of the legislative piece for them. And there I remember my
You
first...
worked closely with Tom Knox, I imagine, too.
Great guy.
Who was also on the show. He's been
yes,
on the show.
wonderful guy. And I remember my first day going into a meeting with David Cohen, and I was supposed to run legislative affairs, and I was like, I walked out and said, I think everyone just spoke a different language because I have no idea what's going on. So I had to learn really quickly how to deal with it. And that was tough. There were a lot of men in politics who were like, okay, you're the first woman, on the second floor of the mayor's office. But
So you came to Philadelphia in politics.
yes.
And then what happened?
Then Rendell ended his term, and I thought, what do I want to do? And so I thought, you know what? I love communications. Why don't I go into that? And so that's
How
what
long
I did.
you worked for 2 terms for Rendell?
1 term,
One
4
term.
years.
Gotcha.
And so I went over to a large PR firm and became an EVP and worked there for 10 years.
Wow.
A long time.
Yep.
I did some presidential campaigns in the state along the way, was fielded political director and, was involved that way. But yes, 10 years.
10 years. So what?
Too long.
Too long, right?
Right,
No, I understand. Well,
yeah.
partly because of your entrepreneurial instincts. You're working for somebody else now for 10 years.
It was not a great fit. I mean, don't get me wrong. I learned a lot. But, for me, you're right. I mean, the entrepreneur piece, and this, is what charged me up. And also I felt I could make more of an impact because impact for me is like super important. Like I don't just want to do things that push papers. I want to create things that brought people along with me on whatever crazy ride I was on.
Well, you and I have some parallels. I I started out in my business as an entrepreneur, became a partner in a regional firm for 25 years. It was 15 years too long in my case.
Right.
So 10 years was about the right time. And before I did it again. And
I'll never forget a friend of mine saying to me, who has her own business, successful business at Boston, she's like, there's nothing like being your own boss.
Right.
And I was like, oh, what are you talking about? And I was like, okay, Susan, you were right.
Right. So you did. So how did that come about?
Well, what happened was, I was an executive vice president of a large firm, sort of just doing my thing. The firm was not doing well, and I went to them and said, "Look, I'd like to help you turn this around. I'd like to be president, and you could be CEO, and I'll help you." And they came back and said, "Well, would you be it was like EVP of whatever, Chief Operating Officer?" And I said, no, thank you, knowing that I would be pushed out.
Yep.
And so several months later, they said, it's not working out. And again, I was 10 years in. And I called my best friend, Susie Welch, her husband, you may know Jack Welch.
Yes.
And basically they said, get up to Nantucket and it's time now for you to start your own business. So I got in the car, drove from Philly up to Nantucket, got on the ferry, and Jack Welch, the former, as I said, head of GE,
General Electric, yep,
pulled out an envelope and said, here's your business plan, and wrote it on the back of an envelope.
Oh, an envelope. I thought it was a napkin.
I still have it.
That's great.
I still have it.
So he wrote out your business plan on the back of an envelope.
And he and Susie were fantastic. I mean, they're two, I miss Jack, but Susie's
like your best friend, right?
She's my best friend and great strategic mind.
And by the way, Susie has a podcast, a little plug for her podcast.
Yes.
Because I listened to the last time you appeared on her podcast. It was a great show. Oh. It was about friends communicating and strategies.
Yes,
for doing
and
that.
mattering.
Yes,
she there's a famous professor. She has me teach in some of her classes about mattering and telling people not just, Mark, you matter, but here's why you matter.
Yeah, I know. I love that, and I've actually used it since.
I know.
It was really, really cool.
Because it's authentic.
Yeah, it's you use it, make it sound like you're not using anything. You're just being yourself and being authentic.
Exactly.
It's great. So you started the firm. We only have about 20 seconds before our break, but how did you get started?
I basically called the president of Penn and the president of the Art Museum, both women, and said, could you help me out? I think the president of Penn gave me $1,000 a month. The Art Museum gave me a $5,000 project. And
so
I could say I had Penn in the Philadelphia Museum of Art, all true. And that's how I started.
You had you had business from the get-go, and you had names behind you, and you got going.
It wasn't easy, but
I'm sure. It's a great story. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back on Founders Forum.
Are you tired of fighting with your technology, or worse yet, your tech team? Affinity fixes that. Affinity is the managed IT partner that puts relationships first. They learn how your business works, then build the right tech foundation to support it. From cybersecurity and cloud solutions to network management, device protection, and 24/7 support, Affinity keeps your business running without the headache. Do you know if you're AI ready? Do you know what questions to ask? Because technology should help you thrive, not slow you down. Stop dealing with outages, slow systems, constant cyber worries, and a team that is not in line with your business goals. Get the confidence and protection your team needs every day. Book your free consultation now at AffinityMSP.com. That's AffinityMSP.com. Start a better relationship with your IT today.
We are back with my guest today, Susan Jacobson of Jacobson's Communications and Strategic Communications, and also of Praxtera, which we're going to talk about in a minute. The joke on the show is that, you had business, you came right out of the gate, and you were immediately successful, smooth ride from then on, right?
Not really.
I know. So
I could pretend.
How did I know that?
Yes.
We didn't talk about that, but how did I know? So what kind of challenges did you experience? Give some examples, because I'd like to hear what you learned from those challenges.
Well, when you start a business, people are like, are you for real? So, and so part of it was credibility. Also, like, you got to hit it out of the park and continue to hit it out of the park. In the PR world, there's usually you lose about 35% of business. I think that's higher now. I've been, knock on wood, I mean, we don't lose almost nothing. We're very,
very high
lucky.
retention.
Very high retention, but that's the reality. And so, and I always joke that in the communications PR world, we're in a what have you done for me lately business. So every week we got to deliver. I like to also, I'm serious about it. I like to say we pay for ourselves 10 times over, and we do. And, by delivering whatever that client needs, whether it's thought leadership, whether it's crisis communication, whether it's community outreach, basic PR, press, whatever a client needs.
And your clients are like a who's who of Philadelphia and the region. Anybody you can mention? Can you mention a couple that you're comfortable talking?
Probably not, Mark.
Okay. All right, no problem. But I can tell you what I know.
But everybody
household names. Yeah.
Right.
Got it. So, how did you? So the challenges were credibility, getting your reputation up there, retaining clients through constantly delivering more than promised.
Right.
How did you build an organization that was able to do that? What did you learn to do that?
It's a great question. It's all about the people.
Right.
And so I did something different than that no one had done this. This was pre-COVID. I actually figured there are all these amazing people who worked in big, giant PR firms in New York who are down in Philly, don't want to go to New York, don't want that, rat race. What if I let them stay at home? And what if I built 3 to 4 people?
This is way before people were doing that.
Way before.
Right.
No, everybody's like, well, you're doing what?
Right.
I was like, what if I took these 3 to 4 gifted people who I knew would be friends, who would have each other's backs? So if Maureen wanted to go to her son's football game, or Allison wanted to take her son to, whatever, a show, or to the doctor, they all had their back. So what if I put 3 to 4 people, senior people on every account with all different skill sets working together, and give them, and I would say to clients, I still do, if you are upset with the dog barking in the background or, whatever, a baby crying,
Don't hire us.
And it worked. Because I got this amazing skill set, and
Wow.
and the people who work are like this family and team who work together. So it was very unusual. People
You really were a visionary in that respect, because now you see Zoom calls with dogs barking and kids crying all the time, right? So it's commonplace.
Yes,
it's really interesting. So, but again, I'm going to try to sum it up. So so it's about the people. So you got people with unique abilities.
Yes.
I call it. Put them together. They weren't necessarily the same, but they were able to cover for each other, and give them
check
all
off different boxes. So for our client, it's like, whoa, the national, you can pitch to national. Oh, you've done tons of crisis. Oh, wow, you can do thought leadership for our new CEO. I mean, those are very different. You can't just pick someone up off the street for that.
But also, if somebody needs to take off, somebody else can cover
They've
for them.
got their back.
And
I was like, no games.
They're almost like intrapreneurs. They're almost like running their own little fiefdoms in your company.
Yes, I trusted them. I actually wrote a piece for Forbes called "A Business Based on Trust," where I trust them, and in return, they've been wonderful friends and partners.
And your longevity, your retention of employees must be great, right?
Oh yeah.
And how many employees do you have?
It's a small group now. Yeah. It's right around a dozen, and that's on purpose, to be honest, because I've got Praxtera.
Yes.
As I probably shouldn't joke about this, but it's kind of true. At this point, we're turning down business on the communication side, and I'm keeping our wonderful clients. So that's we're very fortunate.
And great transition. Let's talk about Praxtera and how that came about.
So. A couple of years ago, my husband and I opened the front page of the Inquirer, and there's this article about a global executive MBA at Wharton where it's virtual. And so I know Erica James because when I was, you had mentioned I was chair of the Greater Philadelphia Chamber of Commerce Board. Yes. I talked to her about how do you lead as a woman, with a lot of very successful CEOs from major corporations who are going to be around the table. And of course, that was when COVID started, so it was even more important. And so we became friendly. And I said to her, Erica, is this something that like my husband Michael and I could do? And she wrote, yes. And she said to me, but you've got to pass the test like everybody else. I was like, Michael, you have to tutor me all summer long. And I passed, and we got him.
And Michael's still practicing medicine? Michael
had just left he was chief of vascular surgery at Penn Presbyterian and at the VA. So it's a perfect transition. And we went to Wharton. It was fantastic. The first day, our colleagues, students did come up to us and say, are you the teachers? Because they were all half our age.
Right.
But they became wonderful friends.
This was in person or virtual?
Virtual, but you have to do a certain amount of trips, and the first 2 weeks you're in person.
Gotcha.
And it was, it's Wharton, so it was extraordinary. It was really hard to do that.
It's a wonderful program. I've heard a lot about it.
Yes, the professors and those students. Oh my God, from all over the world who are best in class. Mark, you would be blown away. Yeah. You'd be impressed.
I thought about doing that. It's never too
do
late.
it.
I may.
Do it.
I may. It's pretty interesting.
It was really fun. But that's where Praxtera came from. I was pitching ideas. We were in South Korea with a very famous professor who does startups, and we each had to pitch a startup. And I said, what about an AI boot camp for people who don't know AI? And everybody's like, well, I'm not sure. But I went to him afterwards and I said, do you think I'm on to something here? Mm-hmm. Like, could we do this for major corporations? Teach the people who are the assistants and people who don't know AI.
This is like 5 years ago, right?
Just a couple of years ago.
Oh, just a couple.
Because Praxtera is a year old.
Yeah. Okay.
And so it's a couple of years ago. And he said, you know what? You're on to something. And then I started talking to like all of our professors who are leading in AI, and they all said we're on to something. And that's how Praxtera started.
Very interesting. So you started just with an idea. You're in the MBA program. And how did you get going? Did you start hiring people?
No. So what I did was, so we named it Praxtera with a professor, Practice and Era, Praxtera, next era.
Okay.
And then what we did was we basically figured out, what if we did what I did at Wharton? What if we did it on Zoom, up to 50 people at a major corporation? And what if we had our co-teachers, a communications people, someone from Jacobson, co-teach with one of our AI colleagues who is leading AI at Apple or Google or another AI major corporation. So Cy and Michelle, for example.
Right.
Cy leads Apple Music for AI.
Wow.
And he co-teaches Michelle, who does communications, and the combination is elective. It's all interactive. So, and in a year, you mentioned this, we've won a national award. We were just published in Forbes called the AI Mirage. I've got a piece coming up about how people use AI as a hobby, but how do they translate it into work? And people love it. And it's all on Zoom, all interactive. People go in breakout groups. They learn how to use it. Takes down all the barriers. It's awesome. Can you tell I'm excited about it?
I was going to say, you're very fired up. You're very excited about it.
I love it.
Well, look, it is the future. I mean, I'm thinking I've got 100 questions about that in my mind about it. I would love to do it. I know I'm not part of a big corporation to do that. So
we'll figure it out.
Figure it out. I would love to take the training myself and experience it. And that might inspire me to go to Wharton, afterwards. So it's interesting. So I'm inspired by you. This is what's happening here. So the more that I hear your story, the more I hear excitement. And you're not, we're more or less the same vintage. We've been around a while, and you're excited about the future.
Did you read there was an article I just read actually in the Inquirer about rewirement. I am so far away from any. I will never retire. I mean, I love funny? Jacobson. I love building Praxtera. How about you? Yeah.
Well, my book that I wrote that you're going to get because we send it to all guests. It's called The Fiscal Therapy Solution, and it talks about retirement and that most entrepreneurs, in my mind, aren't suited for retirement.
No.
And I use the word rewire, refire, aspire, all those things.
Well, I think
anything but
she
retire.
clearly took that from you, so I think you should give her a phone call.
I don't know about that. I think I use rewire. I know refire's in there. I know aspire's in there. Anyway, but absolutely, that's where I am. And I have a lot of friends. I play golf. Guys are retiring, and I'm like, I got to find new friends.
I'm happy to be your friend, Mark.
We're friends now. I love that. So Susie, speaking about the future, so if this were, so today is July, what is today? The 29th of 2026. You may be listening to this, who knows when you're listening to this show. But if it's 3 years from now and you and I, July 29th of 2029, and we're talking, what would have to happen for that to be a good progression in your life? And I'm sure Praxtera has a lot to do with that.
Yeah, it's a great question. I'm all about, for real, as you can hear by the things I've done, like whatever, running the chamber, whatever, I'm all about giving back. And so that's my central theme. So keeping Jacobson going, helping good companies, good people get the kind of credibility they want, and leading by example for others. I love that. So keeping Jacobson right where it is, that's not going anywhere.
By the way, I just have to say,
Yes.
I know your work shines through there because a lot of the companies are community leaders, because I know their work, and I know I've got some great examples of it, which I can't talk about now, but that's, your work shines through on that.
Thank you. And very, very, very proud of that, and my colleagues, because as you heard, I can't do it without them. I always say they're better than I am. That's
the key to a good entrepreneur. Hire people smarter and better.
Yes. And letting them make mistakes, but that's a whole different avenue. It's like, who cares if you make a mistake? I've made a ton of them.
Susie, we are out of time.
Okay.
So much. Thank you for being here.
Note.
Thank you for listening to Founders Forum, and we'll see you all next week. And it's been a great pleasure to have you.
You enjoyed your time with Founders Forum today, and you found value to take with you throughout your day. Join us again next week for another episode of Founders Forum on WWDB Talk Radio, and always at the Founders Forum show page at www.dbam.com. Founders Forum was brought to you in part by March Forward, LLC. We partner with entrepreneurs like you to assist in accomplishing your future vision, your life, your business, your legacy. Comprehensive wealth planning that starts with you, not a product. We hope you enjoyed your time with Founders Forum and that you found something of value to take with you throughout your day. Join us again next week for another episode of Founders Forum on WWDB 860 AM Philadelphia or on your favorite podcast streaming service. Securities offered through DFPG Investments, LLC. DFPG. Investment advisory services offered through Diversify Advisory Services, LLC. Diversify. DAS and DFPG are affiliated entities. March is unaffiliated with DAS and DFPG. Members FINRA/SIPC. The information provided in this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be interpreted as investment advice. The views expressed are those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Diversify or DFPG.